Terrible situation.
Heartbreak for families with ties to the West Coast as their loved ones are caught in the middle of the horrifying violence unfolding in Israel. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Among the hundreds of people killed in the war between Israel and Hamas, a former student at the University of Washington. Haim Katzam was killed by Hamas militants at his home in Israel during the group's surprise attack over the weekend. People who knew him say Katzman was passionate about his studies. One rabbi described him as a friend who was honest and a straight shooter. As he grieves, he's also working to console other people suffering this loss.
Miriam shared with me that she saw on someone's timeline that Haim was actually abducted. And once we started looking, he was abducted, he was killed, and later I saw his mom's Facebook post that he was actually cold-bloodedly murdered in his home. So that was very hard to digest. It costed sleep, and it's still hard to digest because Jewish people are united, and that's why this is so deeply troubling for Jews throughout the world.
Katzman earned his Ph.D. from the University of Washington's Henry M. Jackson School of International Studies in 2021. University leaders say he dedicated his studies to understanding the interrelations of religion and politics in Israel and Palestine. Tonight, the parents of a young man who was born in Berkeley, California, say they're hoping for his safe return after the 23-year-old was abducted by Hamas in Israel. Hirsch Goldberg Poland was at the music festival near Gaza as the attack unfolded Saturday. His parents say his arm was blown off by a grenade before he was taken hostage by Hamas fighters.
They were fish in a barrel, sitting in this bomb shelter. Terrorists came to the door. They were throwing grenades in, shooting machine guns, and we know that Hirsch's arm from the elbow down was severed.
Goldberg Poland's parents say eyewitnesses told them their son and a friend also helped others survive that attack.
As grenades were being thrown in, they were tossing them back out. They were trying to comfort people.
Israel says Hamas and other militant groups in Gaza are holding more than 150 soldiers and civilians hostage tonight. And earlier today, the White House confirmed at least 14 Americans have been killed in the war and 20 or more are missing after this weekend's initial attack. These are live images from Gaza, where Israeli warplanes stepped up airstrikes today. The war's overall death toll has now risen to at least 1,900 people in both Israel and Gaza. Aid groups in the region say supplies are running low in Gaza at hospitals. President Biden spoke from the White House today, condemning Saturday's deadly invasion by Hamas, calling it an act of pure, unadulterated evil, and he pledged U.S. support for Israel.
We're surging additional military assistance, including ammunition and interceptors, to replenish Iron Dome. We're going to make sure that Israel does not run out of these critical assets to defend its cities and its citizens. My administration has consulted closely with Congress throughout this crisis. And when Congress returns, we're going to ask them to take urgent action to fund the national security requirements of our critical partners. This is not about party or politics. This is about the security of our world.
And to get the latest information on the war ongoing in that region and reaction here in the West, you can head to westcoastwrap.com. Jury deliberations are underway in Colorado in the trial of two police officers who are charged in the death of Elijah McClain. Officers Randy Rodema and Jason Rosenblatt are charged with manslaughter. McClain was put in a neck hold and pinned down by officers in a Denver suburb before paramedics injected him with a powerful sedative. Today, prosecutors delivered closing arguments in the case, asking jurors to remember the 23-year-old man was trying to walk home the night he died. Defense attorneys say the officers had no choice but to forcefully subdue McClain after he resisted. The jury will now decide whether the two officers are guilty of manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, and second-degree assault. Another case we're closely following. Testimony continued today in Washington, Tacoma, in the trial of 3 police officers charged with the death of Manuel Ellis in 2020. He was stopped while walking home from a convenience store. Officers claim he was opening people's car doors. A witness described an officer body slamming Ellis, then punching him in the face. The medical examiner found Ellis died from lack of oxygen while being restrained. His mother took the stand yesterday, saying she spoke with him about 2 hours before he died.
That was the night that he said, "Mom, I really want to give my life to the Lord. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of just being out here. I want to be here for my family. I want to just do the right thing. I want my life to change."
During testimony last week, Ellis's sister took the stand. She testified she asked her brother to move out of her home when she learned about his issues with meth. The defense questioned Carter Patterson about Ellis's addiction and his mental health.
You also understand that he had a drug problem for 10 to 15 years before he passed away, correct?
I didn't understand that he had a drug problem.
Okay, so you saw him, you talked to him, you spoke with him, but you never knew that he had a meth addiction.
He never admitted it to me.
Okay. You didn't pick up any signs that he had a meth addiction?
No.
This trial is expected to run into December. A Southern California detention center is on lockdown tonight following an explosion earlier today that injured 4 people, including 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies. Fox 11's Phil Schuman reports the sheriff says the explosion happened during training.
Skyfox overhead in Castaic this morning. You can see smoke pouring out of a mobile firing range, one of 2 of these specialized tractor trailers parked side by side on the sprawling grounds of the Peter Pitchess Detention Center.
They set that up to do target practice in there, but apparently they also keep ammunition inside there as well.
2 deputies badly burned, transported and treated here at Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital, critical but stable.
The deputies were inside the mobile range trailer when a fire broke out.
LA County Sheriff Robert Luna visited the 2 men before giving a briefing.
In the trailer, there's usually 2 firing lanes. Highly likely there was ammunition in there. There's usually some electronics that are there at the very back. Some other equipment, safety equipment, that's placed in there. And I believe some rubber foam type like material.
The Sheriff's Department Twitter pages show examples of what these mobile shooting ranges look like. They're used by a variety of law enforcement agencies. Firefighters had to proceed with caution as they started to look into the key question of what would cause the inside to catch fire.
The concern would be for any unexploded ammunition, ensuring that our personnel and surrounding supporting personnel are not injured as we continue to suppress this fire and then move into the investigation phase.
Citing confidentiality laws, doctors here said nothing about the extent of the injuries. Was it smoke inhalation, burns, or both? The Sheriff's Department did confirm by mid-afternoon the 2 deputies were airlifted to the specialized Grossman Burn Center at West Hills Hospital. In Valencia, Phil Schuman, Fox 11 News.
Some signs of trouble for the upcoming holiday season. Coming up tonight, the West Coast turkey farm affected by a serious outbreak. Also, find out how a new practice in the real estate industry is saving some in the market thousands of dollars.
And in weather, after talking about record heat just a few days ago across portions of the West Coast, now we're talking about more clouds and even some rain showers. We'll have your forecast update coming up.
New details are emerging tonight about a possible connection between the murders of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G., whose real name was Christopher Wallace. Grand jury documents recently unsealed in Las Vegas suggest the same people were involved in both of those killings. The two rappers were signed to rival companies at the height of the gang war between the East Coast and the West Coast. Speaking to the grand jury last month, a retired homicide detective said investigators believe the two murders are connected and that Wallace's murder was retaliation for Shakur's killing. Some of the most popular real estate agencies want to make a move that is likely to shake up the industry. For buyers and sellers, this could potentially mean saving tens of thousands of dollars. Fox 13's Nikki Torres breaks down what is happening in the market.
Homeowners will remember this pain, signing several pages of documents, reading multiple paragraphs of estate literature. Somewhere amid the requirements about insurance and property taxes, there is what amounts to one of the biggest expenses of selling a home, covering the fee for the buyer's agent. The buyer's fee has been a part of the real estate process for so long, it may feel mandatory to consumers. But following a pair of successful class action suits, they now say that that fee can be negotiated all the way down to zero for its realtors.
We're noticing a lot of transparency wanting to be had in the buying and selling process of real estate. That's a lot of what this whole commission being declared or being opened up to for consumers to be able to see.
RE/MAX, Sotheby's, Century 21 Real Estate, Coldwell Banker, Seattle's Redfin Corporation. The New York Times reports these major real estate brokerages have announced they no longer want to be associated with NAR. That could mean it could be harder to find an agent, according to a local realtor, Brian Truman.
I think it's going to weed out people, because there are some people who are, and when I say people, I'm talking about realtors or agents that are on one side of the fence and the other and are frustrated by what's going on, and they're just gonna, they're gonna get out of the business.
In a statement to Fox 13, Redfin said, quote, "Real estate agents provide a valuable service and we deserve to be paid for that service. And consumers deserve transparency about how agents are paid. The fees for representing a seller are already competitive because the seller's agent discloses them up front. If buyers paid their own agents, the fees for representing a buyer would become competitive too, which could save consumers billions of dollars every year."
Any realtor worth their salt or worth their fee, they should be paid it. But if they're not, then they're also going to have to suffer the consequences of not doing a good job.
I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News.
And agencies interested in quitting the Realtors Association understand the move could pose a major challenge for agents. In many areas, a Realtors Association membership is required for agents to access the multiple listings service. That's the most common way listings are seen by buyers. Healthcare workers across several West Coast states were walking picket lines today, but these demonstrations were not connected to Kaiser's ongoing labor dispute that prompted that three-day strike we told you about last week. Healthcare workers in both California and Washington have walked off the job, calling for higher wages as well as improved staffing. In Seattle, hundreds of nurses took to the picket line outside Virginia Mason Medical Center to highlight their concerns over low staffing and workplace violence. They want steps to be taken to improve safety.
We have been seeing a lot of violence, a lot of patients coming in on meth and bringing a lot of guns and knives and hammers and whatever they can get their hands on, bringing them into the ER. It's been causing a lot of unsafe conditions.
That picket in Seattle was not a strike. The nurses used their demonstration to raise awareness about their demands. Virginia Mason Medical Center did put out a statement that says, quote, "We respect the collective bargaining process and are participating in good faith. As we move forward with the negotiation process, patients can expect to receive uninterrupted quality care." And in Southern California, hundreds of healthcare workers are on strike at several different hospitals, and they intend to keep this strike going through the end of this week. Fox 11's Gigi Graciette caught up with some of those workers walking the picket lines earlier today.
We are burned out. I am burned out. We're tired. We need more healthcare workers in the industry.
Staffing. Wages, patient care, just some of the issues nurses and other healthcare workers at St. Francis Medical Center in Linwood are on strike over.
Every time we are supposed to have 14 nurses in the ER and we have 5 or 6, they make a lot of money off us being short.
It is day 2 of the 5-day strike against Prime Healthcare, which owns St. Francis along with other hospitals in 14 states. And while negotiations continue and a salary increase has been offered, striking workers say it's not enough. For example, when it comes to the raise offered, Mayra Castañeda, an ultrasound technician who's worked here for 25 years, says it only means an increase in cents to most workers.
You're talking about 50 cents, at the most 80 cents, to the majority of the healthcare workers out here.
Simply not enough?
Not enough. It's not a living wage.
The United Nurses Association of California also says St. Francis has a huge staffing problem with not enough nurses and a high rate of turnover, mostly due, they say, to the low pay and long shifts.
It's clear that the staffing shortage has to do with wages. They can't retain staff. They can't bring in new staff. If you don't correct the wages, you're not going to retain and you won't bring in new staff.
In a written statement sent to Fox 11, Prime Healthcare said, in part, proposals have been delivered to the unions that would increase wages and provide comprehensive benefit programs, including health care that is among the best in the nation at little to no cost to employees. While we are disappointed that the unions have elected to move forward with a strike, we respect their right to strike as part of the negotiation process.
They're not bargaining in good faith. They actually told us that if we didn't like it at St. Francis, we could leave. That's what they told us. The community, if the nurses left at St. Francis, where would this hospital be?
And the community deserves better. They need quality nurses in there. They need experts in the field of emergency nursing, nurses that can take care of patients that come in with traumatic injuries, heart attacks, strokes. Our community needs us.
There are actually 2 unions that are on strike here, one that represents the nurses and one that represents other healthcare workers. The Nurses Association is set to resume negotiations on Thursday, but the strike will go to Friday. In Linwood, Gigi Graciet.
Well, the weather pattern changing around a bit. Last week we were talking about lots of sunshine and record heat. This week we're talking about a system that's bringing in not major rainfall, but still some measurable rainfall in Northern California. You can see up toward Oregon and Washington as well. It looks like another rainy day coming up for tomorrow for your Wednesday. This was the scene today in Seattle. Lots of clouds, those rain showers, temperatures only in the upper 50s, 58 degrees. Looking out toward San Francisco. Remember last week, San Francisco in the 90s. Today only in the 60s with the sun cloud mix and even a few showers moving into the Bay Area. Phoenix, lots of sunshine. Temperatures today just below 100 degrees. Here's the overall weather setup. We have this front up in the Pacific Northwest. So this is producing some more rain for tomorrow, and that rain approaching Northern California and the San Francisco Bay Area. Not so much for Southern California, just a sun cloud mix, and it looks like maybe a chance of some rain and snow out toward portions of Colorado. So we're starting to see these systems move in and cool off, and cool enough that we're talking about some snow showers for the higher elevations. Here is the satellite and the radar. Once again, the main action up here, as you can see, moving into Oregon and into Washington, also out toward Spokane as well. And here's the overall forecast model. You can see what happens. The rain up to the north here, up in Seattle, and then translating to some snow showers, as you can see, for portions possibly of Colorado as we head into your Wednesday. Still dry in Southern California. Still dry in Phoenix, but it looks like a developing weather pattern that could set up possibly some more action out here in the Pacific and possibly into the weekend. Looks like another wet weather pattern for towards Seattle and Portland. Take a look at some of the current numbers. Right now we have Reno 59 degrees, Phoenix 93, Albuquerque currently checking in 71, and Southern California some 60s for LA and in San Diego. Here's the overall weather pattern, as you can see here, and over the next few days the main action, as we talked about, up to the north. San Francisco, we're going to clear things out nicely for your Wednesday forecast, and probably a sun cloud mix by Thursday and Friday. It is dry in Phoenix, lots of sunshine, temperatures only in the 90s. We're not talking about any triple digits, and starting to see some clouds move into Denver and maybe some snow showers for the higher elevations of Colorado. So maybe getting into the action as some of that energy develops up here and then eventually cools off and heads toward Colorado over the next couple days. So Alex, finally starting to see some changes resembling fall-like conditions. and that'll be the plan over the next 7 days.
Feeling a little bit like fall.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you. Former LA Dodger Steve Garvey today announced he is running for Senate in California. The 74-year-old was an all-star for the Dodgers and the Padres. He's now taking his first swing at elected office. Garvey's running as a Republican to fill the seat long held by the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Garvey said he voted for former President Trump twice, but has not endorsed a candidate in this upcoming election. He says he's focused on education, crime, and the economy, and he broke ranks with some Republicans on the issue of abortion.
I'm against a federal abortion ban, but as a representative, I think our sole responsibility is the voice of the people, and the voice of the people have spoken in California.
Polls show the three Democratic members of Congress, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee, are dominating this Senate race so far. A Berkeley IGS poll taken before Garvey's entry into the race showed about 7% of people would vote for him. A serious outbreak has some people worried about getting a holiday staple to the dining room table. Coming up tonight, what's being done to slow the spread on farms. Also, the Hollywood star who was working the turntables at a college party in Southern California. With Thanksgiving a little more than a month away now, an avian flu outbreak is killing thousands of turkeys. It's unclear at this point whether the outbreak is going to lead to a holiday turkey shortage. Fox 13's Lucy Nelson spoke to industry insiders in Utah, where one farm has been affected.
We were hoping that we were going to get by this year without seeing any cases, even though it has been going around the United States.
Since 2022, around 58 million birds in the U.S. have been slaughtered because of the avian flu. And this week, Utah Department of Agriculture and Food spokesperson Bailey Wolstenhume says it's creeping into Utah again.
Unfortunately, it was a larger turkey farm down there in San Pete County that contracted the disease.
We checked in with a few turkey farmers here in San Pete County, and while they did not want to comment on the recent outbreak, Bailey says this is inopportune timing with Thanksgiving just around the corner.
it's just devastating for that farm to have this happen at this time, or any time really, but especially at this time, because it means that every bird on the premises unfortunately does have to be depopulated.
She says the avian flu is incredibly contagious, and the department has crews testing and monitoring nearby farms and areas.
Of course, because of the likelihood of this disease spreading, it is spread by wild birds, so the likelihood of it being in that area is higher.
She's not sure whether it will impact turkey prices this year. They're advising all farmers to check their birds for symptoms.
Utah is one of the larger turkey farm producers in the United States, and so we're just hoping that it does not spread throughout any more of our farms.
In Sanpete County, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Finally tonight, a celebrity appearance at a USC fraternity party this past weekend during Family Weekend. Do you recognize the guy right there in the shades? That is USC alum Will Ferrell. He was the man behind the turntables during a party for students